Card Fighters, it's me, Ropod813, just bringing you here a deck profile on the new Blaster deck that I started uploading earlier this morning and technically recorded last night. Figured I'd wait until this morning to record it, so that way it's not me completely groggy as I'll get up as normal. Starter, Standard, Wingull, Brave. If you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its name, and if you have a boosting unit with Blaster in the name, and the attack is successful, you can Soul Charge it, and just search your deck for any card with Blaster, add it to hand. 4 Floral Paladin Flogels. Reason for the Flogel is simply, well, it's Blaster Blade. It's kind of mandatory. If your Vanguard has Blaster in the name, you can counterblast one after a unit named Blaster with Blaster Blade in the name or something like that declares an attack. Counterblast one, restand a rearguard named Blaster Blade. For Yggdrasil, reason why I'm going with that art Yggdrasil is solely because it's the foil one. Heal triggers that are out right now don't really have an effect, so if you're going to play Shiny, or if you're going to play a deck, you might as well play Shiny. 4 Margles. Reason for these arts instead of the other arts is even though I have like 6 or 7 of the other art foil, they're all actually being used. So I figured I'd put the new ones in here. And then the tech choice that I went with for my other trigger is actually 4 copies of Scion Rider. Reason for the Scion Rider is if I have to ride Alfred as my grade 3 and I go first, I can just Scion Rider counterblast or countercharge 2 when my Alfred attacks. So I'll boost with him and then just Soul Charge him, countercharge. After that, grade 1s are mandatory for Blaster Friend Barkalls. If your Vanguard has Blaster in the name and you're calling a Blaster Blade in the same column as this Barkall, you get to countercharge for free. After that, 4 copies of Swordsman of Light Blaster Rapier Laura. This is a card that a lot of players have been seeing me tech and beta test with when it comes to this build, and the reason for that is solely because he has another Blaster grade 1, and the fact that he also has Resist makes it hilarious when you make a column of them, because even against Link Joker, you can't Omega Lock that column because you can't target either of them. So that's just the funny part. Figured, didn't want to gut a deck, so I might as well use the new Perfect Guards from this one. They're still counterchargers and everything. And then after that, my last grade 1 is going to be 2 copies of Wingull Youth. Wingull Youth is actually a very good card, especially when you slap him behind Vanguard, because that forces them to guard it. But at the same time, with him being a 7k booster, it doesn't matter if he attacks or is boosted. It's just the attack has to be successful, that he's in the column of, and then you just look at the top 7, grab a card with Blaster Blade. If you don't have a card with Blaster Blade, then it's just staying as a 7k booster. But if you do, you get to grab a free Blaster Blade to hand. After that, 4 copies of Blaster Blade, and yes, as you can see, probably it is, all of them are the new Blaster Blade without the text box around it. Let's see if that'll zoom in on it properly. Nope, not doing it. Okay, whatever though. But yeah, no, 4 Blaster Blades. Like I said, it's a Blaster Blade deck, so it's kind of mandatory on that. 4 copies of Lou, says if boosted by Barkall or Flogel, just counterblast 1, Soul Charge him, grab a card with Blaster in its name, call it to rearguard. Tech choice that I'm testing out, but I kind of am thinking about getting rid of, 2 Blaster Blade Spirits. Reason for that is because I do play, as you guys have seen, the Alfred Xevs. I do occasionally grab a Spirit, and depending on what's in hand, I have been known to go Legion, Xev into Blaster Blade Spirit, and then with Blaster Blade Spirit on the field, I'll call still anyway a Blaster Blade Spirit from hand or something like that, just that way I don't have to worry about them, have more field presence that way and stuff. Or sorry, Blaster Blade, not Blaster Blade Spirit, that's a Blaster Blade Seeker. I do play 1 copy of Blaster Blade Spirit though. Good 10k base. I have called him out with Lou's effect to blow up a rearguard Interceptor just to stop them from being able to have that option. He's also the preferred 10k grade 1 ride. So if I have 2 grade 3s and I'm on grade 1 attacking first, I'll actually grab him off of the Wingull search. And if I grab him off the Wingull search, he's my 10k base, and then I try and slap down a Wingull behind him. Last grade 2 is going to be Blaster Javelin Leroux. If I have Alfred, whether it's the Stride or the grade 3, I can just call 2 Flogels from deck, and to me that seems like a pretty good play, to be able to get 3 Blaster Blade attacks in 1 turn on a rear guard, especially if you do the the Alfred combo with it, where Blaster Blade gets its first attack with a Twin Drive. After that, 4 Blaster Blade Exceeds. Reason for this is solely because he's actually the best option for the deck. First off, yes, he has Blaster in the name. Second off, Wingull can search him with Blaster because he's Blaster Blade. Third off, his own effect for Counterblast 1 when you stride into about half the G deck lets you search him out also. So you got a lot of options in order to get him. So you might as well play him kind of thing. At the same time, when you stride over him, you can grab any card with Blaster Blade in the name and add it to hand. When you go into, like I said, about half the units. And then the also on ride or on call to rearguard, counterblast 1, ping an opponent's grade 1 or greater. 2 Alfred Exevs. Like I said, I do play the Scion Riders, and that's because legioning late game, allowing me to reload the deck, is usually a pretty good thing, and the fact that I have 6 targets for his Legion makes it where I don't even really have to worry that much, because when I do Soul Blasting with Myriad, it actually goes pretty well. And then the super secret tech choice of the deck, the original King of Knights Alfred. Reason for that is solely because no one will expect him. Even though he's a 10k base, he still allows, a nice 20k column unboosted for your Vanguard. At the same time, he lets you counterblast 3 to set up your field, but with that Barkle, if you slap this Alfred to rearguard, even though he's like a 17k column, he's calling a Blaster Blade in front of a Barkle, which gets you a countercharge, so he really only does it for 2. And calling a Blaster Blade from deck, I've always heard, is pretty good in this meta. Or just calling from deck in general. After that, 2 copies of Holy Squire, because if I'm on Alfred, I'm going to purposely go on Alfred if I'm going against Link Joker, just so that way I can go Holy Squire. After that, I play 2 Religious Soul Savers, because it's a counterblast 1, but you have to have a Heart with Blaster, and then after you have that Heart with Blaster, you have to have like 2 blasters in Soul for everything to gain 3k, or 3 units to gain 5k, sorry, and then him to gain the extra crit. After that, 4 Alfreds. 1 Blizza, because there is a lot of things, as you can see, that do Persona Blasts, or Persona Flips. So I do play the 1 copy of Blizza, just in case. The mandatory Seabreeze, because why not? The Myriad Soul Saver, which is Soul Blast 3, everything gains +5 except him. The 1 legit Sword Dragon, I heard that card's kind of legit in all honesty. The fact that he can counterblast 1, call a Blaster Blade from deck, and now Blaster Blade's in 11k, and can swing unboosted at their Vanguard, seems pretty good to me. Then I play 1 Dismal, and 3 copies of the Nui Schultz, because something tells me having a 45k G-Guard, when you have a full field, is a good thing. Excuse me. And depending on the matchup, that is possible, because the deck does do a lot of field swarming, and it does do a lot of hand gaining and things like that, so you'll have the hand advantage to be able to do this, and then you can just E-Schultz and intercept, and it still counts because you E-Schultz first. But I hope you guys liked the video, and as always, card fighters, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.